Afternoon. My name is Manuel Vieira. I'm the managing partner at Meridian Group. We are a conglomerate of service providers to the real estate industry. We do everything from A to Z, no C. We do no construction. Okay? Everything else we do. So whether it's to find land, to do the engineering, the architectural, project management, facilities management, property management, brokering, feasibilities, valuations, we do the whole fruity tooty. I want to talk to you about Mozambique. So we're part of SADC. You see the slide on the far side, that's Mozambique. Some of you probably know Ponta do Ouro, down at the bottom. Well, there's nothing happening there. It's all happening right at the top next to Tanzania. Okay? I've divided my presentation into 5 segments. The far past, the recent past, the present, the near future, and some crystal balling. I will be quick with the past, because I'm sure you want to know about the future. So you need to listen carefully in the next 30 seconds. I'm going to tell you what happened in Mozambique from 75 to 2010 in the real estate segment. Are you paying attention? Nothing happened. Okay, that's not quite true. So in that period, we had the colonial power handover power, we had free elections, we had the embracing of free economic principles, and we had about 100,000 square meters of new builds. That's the grand sum. So up to 2000, I'd say nothing was built. From 95, there's nothing built. And then from 95 to 2010, you probably had 100,000 square meters built of new build. So that's in 60 seconds what happened till 2010. 2010 to date, much more exciting. The recent past, and not always for the best of reasons. So 2010, 2011, we find gas. Hooray, we're going to be rich. And these are the 4th biggest reserves in the world. So off we go and we spend some money. Lots of it. Big party, big party. Music, girls, dancing girls, everything. Countries going ballistic. Businesses growing 30% a year, 40% a year. 4 years of party. Second half of 2015, somebody comes along and says, hey, naughty boys, you guys have been spending some money. You've just benefited from being a highly indebted country. You benefit from this World Bank initiative where your debt was written off, and now you've gone and incurred some more debt. What's the story? So around that, there's corruption, and suddenly the currency goes from 30 to the dollar. By the end of the year, it had gone to 42, and by 2016, it had gone to 80 to the dollar. More than 100%. It's corrected slightly now to 62, but it's been painful. And that's been the story. So since second half of 2015, plenty of panada, Centrum, and all that other good stuff, and belt tightening. That's what's been the story in the country. 2011 to 2014, as I said, gang-ho, maybe 300,000 square meters of new build, and maybe another 200,000 of refurbishment being done. So it was really good. 2015 to date, nothing. Nothing, not quite right, because during this period where the economy has not grown, so the GDP went from 16 billion to about 11 billion. It's now back up at 14 billion. Some reforms have been done. Some timid attempts at privatization. There's been an anti-corruption drive, belt tightening in the public service, debt restructuring negotiations. And this brings us to the present. Where are we today? In October, we have elections on the 15th of October. And we have 2 possible outcomes. Frelimo win and it's contested. The opposition wins and it's contested. And between those 2 scenarios, the international community will say whether it was free, sort of free, or kind of free, the elections. There's only 2 variations, that's it. Okay? So that's the present. Big obstacle in the road is the elections that we have in 2 weeks' time. So what's the near future? What does it tell us? We're going to go into a 90-day period of negotiations with the elections, the results, how we're going to share this. We're going to have to make some appointments. We're going to have to open hand here or there. Come the 15th of January, there's going to be a government in place. First 90 days, nobody does anything. Budget approval will be around about March, April. First semester is gone. Okay? So continue of very little activity, belt tightening, crawling along the bottom. Second half of 2020, I think government will start to function, money will start to flow, things will start to happen. I expect GDP growth for the year to be somewhere in the 3 to 6% range. On our scenario going forward, we have assumed a few things, and that is that we will have peaceful elections. There's going to be a second presidential mandate, so this is going to be my legacy for the president. Crime and security is a big issue. You're probably not aware, but up in the north there's a insurgency where the gas developments are happening, supposed to be happening. This is to a certain extent holding up some of the developments. The continuation of the anti-corruption and the reforms that are required, and the improvement in doing business, obviously very much required. And we need to finalize the debt restructuring and be readmitted to the international community so we can borrow internationally. Currently, Mozambique is not able to borrow. So, before we start looking at the segments, I want to tell you why I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic because we're on the cusp of some of the biggest oil and gas projects in the continent. The ENI and the Anadarko projects will probably involve somewhere around 50 to 60 billion US dollars. If you think we have an economy of $14 billion, 60 billion is a significant amount of money. And it's going to change the country, providing we have good governance and we have people to execute these projects. Apart from the gas, suddenly Mozambique has found everything. For 200 years it sat there, nobody found gold, nobody found precious stones, nobody found heavy sands. Now there's everything, there's lithium, all these things have suddenly cropped up. So in early days of development in those other minerals as well. But to say that on the extractives, we think that there's going to be huge, huge opportunities, and those are going to be driving huge chunks of the economy. So today Mozambique has a diversified economy that's not reliant on oil and gas or anything like that. I'm not sure what it's going to be like in 5 years' time, 6 years' time. Obviously these projects take time to monetize. Initially in 2011 we thought the first gas revenues would be flowing in 2018. Well, 2018 has come and gone and no money has arrived yet. So it's going to take time. It's going to take good management, and we'll see if that happens. But these are the segments that are going to be driving. So we're going to have a two-speed economy. We're going to have the economy where we have the economic players in the commodity-based sectors. They're going to be going flat out. And then you're going to have the real economy adjusting and trying to keep up and see if they survive and provide services to the extractive industries. So the future looks rosy. In terms of real estate, the way we see it, there are going to be requirements in practically all of the segments. So if we look at residential, we think the oil majors Exxon, Anadarko, Eni, Total will put probably 250, 300 families each in country. And maybe you think that's not a lot, but for an economy like Mozambique, it's a lot of people. And these are people with money. So in the past, you see Mozambique has developed in spurts. We had the UN peacekeepers coming to town in '92, then we had Mozal being built, then we had Vali coming to town, then we had the gas. So it's always been in spurts, in boom and bust kind of cycles. And this is going to happen again with the gas guys coming and with the other extractive players coming. So there's going to be demand for good residential units. Probably looking at residential compounds, that kind of thing. On the office space, a lot was built. Currently we have significant vacancy levels, around about the 24-25%. Again, in some segments, the upper segments, what these multinationals will want, buildings, green buildings with safety standards, 2 exits, there's a limited amount of stock available. So those will be happening soon as well. People will come and look at those opportunities. On the hospitality, a lot of people coming to town, there's going to be some need there. The development of projects where these extractive projects are, I think for the time being, if we look at the security situation, are going to be limited to the actual project. You're not going to see hospitality flourishing around these projects because the security is just not available and the country is not dealing with it in a clear and decisive manner. So we've spoken about those boom and bust cycles where entities have come to town. The big drivers coming next are the Coral Reef, Coral South revenues. Those start flowing in 2023. That'll bring revenues to government. We expect some government to spend some money around that time as well, because currently government is spending nothing on public works. It's all stalled. There's no money. The gas boom, I think the gas boom from 2025 onwards, there'll be many projects coming online. We're not going to have a peak. We're going to have one project coming on, then 2027 another project coming on, 2029. So they've kind of spaced it out, so that's going to be a medium to long-term phasing in of these projects. What do we need for these expected growth to happen? Well, we need a growing economy. Currently, interest rate is 18%. It's been at 30%. It's showing a downward trend for the past 2 years, which is a good thing. Government has to continue to improve the business climate. It has to rethink its tourism policies. It has to, its visa policies, its expats, employing of expats is a problem at the moment. Municipalities need to be given capacity training to approve the projects as well, and the master plans need to be respected. So we've spoken about these opportunities. On the industrial and logistics, eventually we see that there's going to be some requirement, particularly around the ports. So if you remember the map, you've got Maputo at the bottom, you've got Beira, Nampula, Nacala, and Pemba at the top. So around there we expect some developments on the logistics. Around the actual mining projects we also expect some requirements on the industrial side, warehousing and that. Retail. Country is grossly under-retailed. Grossly under-retailed. And it's not your Sandton shopping center that you see here. That's not what is required. What is required is retail close to where the masses are. Many developers have gone to town and have decided to build the big regional 40,000 square meter retail center. It's struggling along. It's not going to do well over the next 5 to 10 years. But the opportunity is to build 100 retail centers in the 10 provinces. Talking about 4,000 to 7,000 square meters. The kind of retail unit we're talking about is not this. Is something like this. It's for the masses. Mozambique has got 29 million people, and it's grossly under-retailed. This is the one segment that we think is going to take time because consumer spending has got to come back from the crisis that we're in. But over time, this is going to be the segment in which to invest. There are quite a few mega projects on the go. In these, where you see these dots are basically where the ports are. The latest have been announced, that you've probably heard of most of these, but the latest one is the Tet to Makuz railway line. And that seems to be gathering some momentum at the moment. And we expect to hear something about that early 2020. And as a parting shot, we think that next week, E&I will announce some kind of decision, not E&I, sorry, ExxonMobil will announce some kind of decision around their final investment decision, and that will certainly be a game changer. Thank you.